Okay, I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Sacramento Area Sewer District Board of Directors for Wednesday, October 8th, 2025. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll and establish a quorum?
Yes, Directors Desmond, Dickinson,
Here.
Hume,
Here.
Jennings, Kaplan, Kennedy, Orozco, Pluckybaum, Rathel,
Here.
Robles, Rodriguez, Sander, Cerna,
Here.
Soon,
Here.
Villegas,
Here.
and Karpinski Costa.
And Director Rodriguez has just joined us.
Oh,
So we do have a quorum.
Director Guerra here is the vacancy.
Oh, very good.
for Pluckybaum. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And Rodriguez? Here. We have a quorum.
Okay, very good. I was going to announce that we were going to take things out of order so that we can make use of the time absent a quorum to hear some non-voting presentation items first, but I think we'll now revert back to the original agenda schedule. And just for the record, please note that I am acting as chair today in light of the fact that our Chair Karpinski Costa is not with us. She's attending a league event. So I'm happy to assume chair responsibilities this morning. And with that, if you could please read our statement, I'd appreciate it.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this meeting of the Sacramento Area Sewer District is live and recorded with closed captioning. It is cablecast on Metro Cable Channel 14, the local government affairs channel on the Comcast and DirecTV U-verse cable systems. It is also live streamed at metro14live.saccounty.gov. Today's meeting replayed Sunday, October 12th at 9 a.m. on Metro Cable Channel 14. Once posted, the recording of this meeting can be viewed on demand at youtube.com/Metro Cable 14. SAC Sewer board members are compensated $100 for their participation in board meetings. Compensation for Sacramento County supervisors and City of Sacramento and Citrus Heights council members is paid to the county and cities respectively to partially offset the cost of those governments. Compensation for the other agencies is paid directly to the individual board members. Compensation for these legislative body meetings is verbally disclosed at each board meeting in accordance with California Government Code Section 54952.3. To make an in-person public comment, please complete a speaker request form and hand it to the clerk. The chairperson will call your name when it's your turn to make a comment. You may send written comment by email to boardclerk@saccounty.gov. Your comment will be routed to the board and filed in the record. This concludes your announcement.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Director Dickinson, would you please do us the honor of leading us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Again, I'd like to welcome everyone to this morning's Sacramento Area Sewer District Board of Directors meeting. We have a full agenda, and so I will ask the clerk if you can please read the first item.
Mr. Chair, item 1 is the consent matters, items 1 and 2 for approval.
Okay, we have a motion, and did I hear a second? We have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up to speak on these matters?
We do not have anyone speak. Who was the second
Supervisor Villegas.
and the first?
City Council Member Dickinson.
Thank you. Okay. You may vote.
Please vote.
Your motion passes unanimously.
Very good, thank you. Next item, please.
Mr. Chair, the next item is public comments not on the posted agenda, and we do not have any speaker slips, nor do we have any online.
Very good, thank you.
Okay,
Next.
item number 4 is miscellaneous district engineer matters by presenter Christoph Dobson.
Good morning, Chair and board members. Just a couple of quick things. I first want to mention the items that you just approved. One of them was the Echo Road septage station project. It's a kind of a small project, but I just wanted to give some appreciation to our staff for completing that. don't know if you noticed, but there was a negative change order on that, so less than 0%. They also did the design in-house, worked with our septage haulers and our operations staff to site the location, and then developed the plans and specs for it. So very small but successful project. So
Very good. Thank you.
and then the second thing is just our meeting schedule. To let you know, October 22nd will be our next board meeting, so we'll have both meetings this month. And then, of course, November and December are just one meeting each month due to the holidays. I do want to apologize. Some of these meetings, the agendas are fairly short, but we have some critical items that need to go forward for our operations, so we're just doing the best that we can.
On that last matter, Mr. Director, are we doing, how are we managing the agenda so that we're trying to consolidate as best we can those critical items so that we can, kind of looking forward, attempt to minimize the number of total meetings? Not that we don't love being here with all you great staff to do good things for the sewer district, but as you know, we all have very, very full schedules serving on other boards and commissions, and are certainly our principal places of service in our cities, counties. So do we do that on a regular basis where you're working with the clerk of the board's office to consolidate kind of on a look forward basis?
Yeah, so the way we do that is in our executive team weekly. We have a meeting weekly. We don't always go over the long-range agenda every week, but most meetings will go through the long-range agenda, and we're always looking for opportunities to cancel a meeting and move some either up or down. But some of them you end up not being able to move without having some kind of a financial impact. So,
sure.
But that's it. Yeah, we do that regularly.
Just as a preview of coming attractions, I'll have I won't assume, but I may have the opportunity to serve as chair again next year, as vice chair this year. But what I would like to do is try and seek the record for the fewest number of meetings in 2026 in a good, positive way.
I like it.
In the interest of efficiency. So just put that on your to-do list, please. All right. Any questions for our executive director?
What about those of us who want more meetings?
I was going to be disappointed if Mr. Dickinson didn't make that precise statement. So, seeing none, Madam Clerk, we have no one signed up to speak on this matter?
We do not have any public comments.
All right, very good. Next item, please.
Okay, Mr. Chair, item 5 is approved memorandum of understanding with Sacramento Area Sanitation District Employees Association representing Employee Group 2.
Good morning. Just in an abundance of transparency, since these are employee salaries, we have been keeping these on the timed calendar rather than consent, just so that there's an opportunity for the public to hear it. But basically, as you know, we've been through, we have 4 recognized employee organizations. We've been through 2 of them now that your board has already approved the MOUs with those organizations. Those were our engineers and scientists, and then the field staff through Local 39. So we have 2 left, and those are on your calendar today. This first one is the administrative employee group. It's, I'd say, modeled very similar to the previous MOUs that you've already seen. There's some classifications that are getting equity adjustments to bring their salaries to the median for our market over a 3-year period. There are some others who actually, are right on the market already, so they're not getting equities. And there's actually, in this case, a couple of classifications that will not receive COLAs because they were significantly above market. So it's kind of a range of different outcomes, I guess. And did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Sorry. So when that last statement, if I heard you correctly, we have employees that are above market, so they didn't receive a COLA based on that. Does that mean that as a matter of policy that you will keep them from, or there will be something in place to restrict receipt of COLA adjustments up and until they are at market?
Exactly. That's right, and this is something that we actually I promised to staff a few times in meetings going way back when we were doing the transition, which was that if you're below market, you'll get adjusted to the market, and if you are above market, then you wouldn't receive a pay cut, but you're going to have to kind of wait until the market catches up to you.
What would you say, Christoph, is the longest duration that we can expect for whatever unit or classification that they would have to wait to get there? Are we talking years?
Well, the life of the agreement is 3 years, so it would be 3 years at least, but it really depends. It depends on what happens with the market and with those COLAs. If those COLAs are very high, then they're going to catch up
I've never
quickly.
known the market to go except anywhere but one direction, so...
Well, yes, but how quick, how much it moves up, it would vary, yeah. So the other items of note in these MOUs, we've added a longevity, 2.5% longevity pay at 15 years of service, and we've basically put all the employees at for our medical subsidy at 90% of Kaiser, and I think those are the main changes. So,
all right, very good. Thank you. Any questions for our director? Seeing none, thank you. Anyone time to speak on this matter?
We have no public comments.
Okay, very good. I'm sorry, I lost my place. Are we voting on anything here?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion.
I'll go ahead and move approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
Who's the second?
You.
Thank you. Please vote. Your vote is unanimous.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Michael.
Next item, Mr. Chair, is approved memorandum of understanding with Sacramento Area Sanitation District Employees Association representing Employee Group 3.
I will keep this extremely short. Same story, but these are the supervisors. And that will be our last MOU.
Very good. Any questions? All right, seeing none.
I'll go ahead and move approval of the item.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up to address this matter?
Thank you. Please vote.
Madam Clerk, do we have anyone sign up to address this matter?
We do not have any public
All right,
speakers.
now you can vote.
Okay. Your vote passes.
Thank you. Next item.
Next item is Confluence Regional Partnership Program Annual Report for fiscal year 2024-25. Presenter Carolyn Balaz.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. My name is Carolyn Balaz, and I am the Environmental Sustainability Coordinator with the Policy and Planning Department. So I would like to present to you today the Confluence Regional Partnership Program's annual report for fiscal year 24-25. So I first want to start off with providing a background about the program. It utilizes discretionary funding. There we go. And that discretionary funding does not come from rates or fees. It actually comes from other sources like the sale of our assets, the biogas, recycled water, just to name a few. So in 2017, we developed a policy that directed staff on the use of this funding. And your board approved it in 2017, and then in 2024, we brought back some changes to the policy in which you'll see today. Okay, first off, I want to say that we have received 2 nationally acclaimed awards just this year. So in January, we received the National Environmental Achievement Award, and you can see a picture of it there. And the Confluence program was recognized for community leadership for its efforts. And then just recently, last week, we were awarded the Utility of the Future Today Award for the watershed stewardship, and that was just last week. And that is awarded by 5 different agencies and associations. That's the Water Environmental Federation, the Water Research Foundation, NACWA, that also provided the National Environmental Achievement Award, which is the National Association of Clean Water Agencies, Water Reuse, and the U.S. Water Alliance provided those awards.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So, as you can see, the table shows the various categories that make up our program. And we've provided the annual allocation for those categories and then also the total amount that was provided within 24-25. So as you can see, the Sewer Lifeline Rate Assistance Program, we provided just over $2 million. We have increased participation for that program, and I'll talk about that in another slide. The American River Parkway category, we approved $272,000 in funding. And then for the watershed management, as you can see, we provided over $384,000 in funding, which does exceed our annual allocation. So what we did in order to provide that funding is the policy provides the district engineer the ability to move funding from one category to another. So we moved $150,000 from the American River Parkway for the watershed management, and I'll talk about the project a little bit later that necessitated that move in funds.
I have a question before you leave this slide, and others may have similar questions. So I need a refresher. I recall going way back when we had kind of a wholesale revision to our treatment of discretionary funds, going as far back as, at my insistence and at others, the inclusion of the American River Parkway line item that we see here, as well as others. But refresh my memory, and I'm kind of looking at both of you, including our director here. What's the policy? What is the policy, written policy about the exercise of the director's discretion to move funding when you have undersubscription versus oversubscription between the line items?
It's pretty generic in that I have the ability to move money from one to another. In this case, though, it's not like we took it away from something else. So it was just happened to be that there was a lot of extra money available there. But
well,
I do.
Give me an example. Sorry, Christoph, to cut you off, but give me an example. So, for instance, American River Parkway annual allocation $600,000. Total grant amount is less than half of that. So, where did the other? Does the 300 plus thousand sit in an American River Parkway fund?
No, so it doesn't roll over from year to year. Maybe
Okay.
that's where you're getting.
Yes.
So it sits there. Next year we have the same limits again.
Okay.
We also have reserves. So at any point in time, if there's something that exceeds all of these funding numbers, we can always come back to your board and ask to use some of those reserves if there's a particularly important project that you would be interested in.
What is the policy, if there is one, on before you go off and make these changes between the line items? What's the policy for you, for instance, reaching out to Liz Bellis, our regional parks director, and saying, hey, by the way, the total allocations X, we're at a grant amount of less than half for some annual cycle, I assume. You might want to understand that. So is there, or it doesn't have to be just regional parks, but for any of the other potential beneficiaries and the related management that comes with, whether it's economic development or public education, whoever would be interested in understanding the fact that there is this resource base out there, how do we communicate to those interests before our executive director is going to make those changes administratively?
So As far as outreach goes, we always, in particular, Liz Bellis, we reach out and ask if there are projects coming that they're interested in.
Okay.
But we do, especially to those that we know about, so kind of the ones who have participated before, we do ask them about whether they have projects coming that would fit. So we do have to do a little bit of prediction when we move money, because if it's not the end of the year, in theory, you could be taking it from a pot that might need it in the future. So we're trying to balance that as we go through the year. But like I said, we also have the ability to get additional funding from the board if we needed to, and we haven't run into that problem yet.
I'm not going to ask necessarily for us to like revisit some policy that gives the board perhaps greater authority to help you with that reallocation or redistribution, because I think you need some latitude to operate independent of the board to be nimble here. However, I'll speak for myself. I would love to know at some point before a decision is finalized for the year that, especially as it relates to American River Parkway, that there's been an undersubscription or stated interest in the use of the budgeted amount for the year, and it's not because I don't trust our regional parks director to act on understanding that there's some resources out there. It's just the nature of the beast. Elected people sometimes know what some of those needs are more so than even our executive staff. Just because that's what's expected of us. We're supposed to have our ear to the rail a little bit in finer grain detail, listening to our constituents' needs. So I, for one, would love to understand that and have it kind of be almost a set expectation that, hey, we're going to reach out to Supervisor Stern on American River Parkway matters before we close the books on confluence funds that might close for the year.
I think that's a great idea. Maybe even like a mid-year where we check in and say,
Perfect.
Here's how much has been funded.
Yeah. And
absolutely.
others may have a shared interest, and maybe it's not at the Parkway, maybe it's some other category here. But I think that would be healthy for that check-in to happen with your board members.
So one thought is that I do a quarterly district engineer report, which you see. I wonder if we could tuck it into that and just have the status. Then any board member could look at that and say, oh, there's some money available there, and I know of a program that would be worthy of.
Could that be part of like a slide or two, part of a presentation?
Of this presentation?
No. So when you do that report, that's a report you do in public here, right?
No. That's just I send a link to it. It's online.
Okay, that's fine. Director Dickinson.
I was just curious what the process is for setting the amounts each. You do this annually, setting the amounts each year for the categories. Is that something you decide on at a staff level? Does that come to the board? However that's done in that respect, what's the process you use to set the amounts?
So your board set the amounts, and they stay static year to year, except when we come forward and propose some changes. If there's something changes, but those numbers are the same each year.
Okay, so maybe that's something that just in whether it's the course of the budget process or otherwise that we do more deliberately and look at it each year with an eye on it to see if we want to make adjustments or not.
Okay. Yeah, and that is in the policy. The policy dictates the numbers. So if there were any changes, we would bring that policy forward.
We've had past rich conversations about that here in these chambers. So
Thanks.
yes. Any other questions? Okay.
Nope.
Sorry to interrupt your flow. Go ahead.
No worries. I can pick up with the septic conversion program. We do have an annual allocation of the $600,000. As you can see, we provided $230,000 in grants. Again, we'll go into more detail at later slides. For the economic development category, we actually reached our allocation for the year. So that occurred in the beginning of April in 2025. And the sewer impact fee waivers was incorporated just this last fiscal year. It is a program that we've had for quite a while, but as you can see, we granted just over $900,000 for that. For public education, we provided over $340,000 in grants. And for the other projects, which are projects that don't fall into one of the other categories, but do meet our mission and vision for Sac Sewer, we will provide funding for that at the district engineer's discretion.
Excuse me, I'm going to interrupt again.
Yes.
Director Guerra has a comment or question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. It was, if no need for a specific answer, maybe a follow-up, but on the septic conversion, particularly on areas of the city that were annexed and that were on septic before, and maybe follow up some on what are the outreach efforts on those areas, North Sac, the southeast area. I know we've done a lot of effort to try to connect folks, but maybe if we could follow up afterwards on that, on how those grants get allocated and addressing the water pressure, or not the water, but the pump pressure issues on those students as well. So, yeah, that was it. Thanks.
Our executive director is taking copious notes.
Yes, I noted that, yes.
Okay, excellent. As you can see, we provided just over $4.9 million in last year in grants. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to show that there's also the map where all the projects were located, so you can see where they are located throughout our service area.
I'll just note the Parkway is not just a dot, but it is a linear feature.
Yes, it is. Okay. The Sewer Lifeline Rate Assistance Program, it has preceded the Confluence Program. As you can see, it was initiated in 2004. What it does is provide rebates to our low-income customers that are eligible, and they can save up to $195 per year. It's available to homeowners, renters, and also homeless shelters. And the enrollment actually increased from 23-24 due to our outreach efforts and also coordination with SMUD and PG&E with their rate assistance programs. So as you can see, the number of enrollees is slightly different for the treatment and resource recovery and the collection, and that's because the service areas are a little bit different. So the number of enrollees is slightly less for collection, and you can see we provided over $2 million in grants.
Before you leave the slide,
Yes.
question for Christoph. Do we have any level of coordination with County Department of Human Assistance to help explain this opportunity to folks, for instance, that may call or use our website or actually go into one of our numerous DHA bureaus, folks that might be on GA or otherwise need every helping hand they can to kind of make ends meet during any given month. Do we have any kind of outreach that we coordinate with our DHA to do that?
I'm not sure about DHA. I was going to ask Nicole maybe to just share what types of outreach we are doing, and then Mike may even have something to add as well.
Okay.
Good morning. So in terms of outreach for the rate assistance program, most recently, as Carolyn mentioned, we did a targeted outreach to SMUD customers who are on their rate assistance program because we have the same thresholds, and same for PG&E in the city of West Sacramento. So that outreach resulted, as Carolyn mentioned, in a substantial increase in our enrollment. In addition to that, we have a rate assistance program bill insert that goes out in every customer's bill. We take that bill insert to all of the outreach events that we participate throughout our service area throughout the year and have an opportunity to connect and talk with all of our customers. And then in addition to that, we share the information on our website and during any Prop 218 rate increase processes. We have not coordinated directly with the department that you mentioned, but we would be happy to coordinate with them and even perhaps, we've done this with other board members before, provide a stack of those rate assistance bill inserts, and then when they run out, they can certainly reach out and we can provide some more.
Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity if we're not doing that. It's a bit of self-selection. I mean, you have folks that are engaged with the DHA for one reason or another. Not everyone has got the same scenario or needs. However, one common denominator typically is the fact that they might be economically struggling. And so I think we ought to do more than just rely on bill inserts. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. I think it's great that we're doing that and that we're giving, even our district offices a stack of these things to give out, and we're tabling and we're doing all the other outreach. But I think specifically taking advantage of what DHA is designed to do and the clientele that they are designed to serve, we should maximize that coordination. And if we do that, I assume we will. It would be interesting to see if there's a change in the numbers even more so, just because of that advantageous connection. So,
I'd be happy to follow up with your office after the meeting to get a contact, if that's okay.
absolutely.
Wonderful, thank you.
Director Raithel.
I'm assuming the 10,253 enrollees that are in collection are also in the treatment and resource recovery. No. So that it does seem like a very small number of folks that are in Sacramento, West Sacramento, and Folsom. And maybe that's because that billing is handled by those agencies. Do we give the bill inserts to those other agencies to be included in there so that they go out across the whole system, or just where Sac Sewer is doing the billing directly?
Yeah, no, great question. So we work with 4 contributing agencies: Folsom, City of West Sac, City of Sacramento, and then CUBS for the County of Sacramento and surrounding areas, and all of them receive the bill insert.
Thank you.
CUBS is a combined utility billing system, consolidated. Go ahead.
Okay. The next category is the American River Parkway. And the American River Parkway Foundation received $125,000 for their Protect the Parkway project. And the purpose of this project is to remove the trash and debris from the islands and the waterways, and they also dispose of the invasive plants. And that project is located between Discovery Park and Hazel Avenue. So, for the watershed management, we have the Franklin Channel Reforestation and Restoration Project. And so we provided over $300,000 over 3 years to the Sacramento Tree Foundation so that they can plant over 800 native trees and shrubs along the Franklin Channel corridor. And in addition to that, they've also planted milkweed so that over 300 rhizomes of that to encourage monarch butterflies and other pollinating species as well. Okay. The septic conversion, we approved over 21 grants for individual properties and warranties for the low pressure pumps. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And those grants totaled over $230,000. So for qualifying properties on a septic system, they can receive the grant funding for design and construction costs. And there's some examples here: the engineering, the sewer impact and tap fees, the sewer main construction, sewer system demolition, and also the upper and lower lateral construction. And just last year, we decided to add a new criterion, which is the low pressure pump system repair and replacement. And we made that funding available for customers that have already received a grant for their sewer system under the septic conversion program, but the equipment is malfunctioning. So the money is being used to either repair or replace that dysfunctioning equipment. Next is the economic development. So commercial and industrial customers, they can receive a 50% discount on their sewer impact fees. And the only requirement is that they have to create at least one full-time job. And so what we did is we approved 25 grants, which totaled the $650,000. That is the annual allocation. And from that, over 763 full-time jobs were created. And the largest grant was given to Grove Floor and Homeless Shelter, which also created 15 full-time jobs.
Director Suen.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. So I was just taking note of this, and I appreciate the mission. I appreciate the award to getting a homeless shelter built. But I was just wondering, in terms of economic development, perhaps, and you have limited funds, so perhaps maybe a little higher threshold than creating one job might be appropriate. Would you be able to maybe explain how we evaluate? And maybe, do you get a lot of applications for this program?
So for let me go back to the previous slide. Okay. So we ran out of funding in the beginning of April, and it paid for a partial grant. Typically, we have not run out of this allocation previously. In some years, we get very few grants. In other years, we might get quite a few. It really does depend on the market. So what we had in place at the time when we first had our program is we had a tiered level in which there were, if you created so many jobs, you would get a certain percentage off your sewer impact fee. And that was a little tedious to try and verify how many jobs were being created. If it's something like an industrial customer, you know, because they're permitted with us, you know a little bit better about the jobs that they have. But for a commercial customer, it's much more difficult to try and make sure that they are creating the number of jobs that they said. So one of the things that we took a look at is making just a flat amount of a percent, which is at 50% off the sewer impact fees, and then removing the different levels of need to create X number of jobs. So that's where we were, and then in 2024, we made adjustments to that.
So how much outreach do you do with this program?
This is available to any commercial customers that receive a quote, a sewer impact fee quote. We make them aware of this program.
Okay.
It's actually on their fee quote. It has a number to contact. So they are being aware of this at the time that they're receiving a quote.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I just want to make sure, obviously, we're leveraging every dollar, and
Yes.
Just for one job, it just sounds like it wasn't a very high threshold.
I get the point that you're making. This is a little bit of a one-off in terms of it's not like a common thing. And as Carolyn pointed out, it was the first time that we actually bumped up against the top, the cap. But I think it is something that bears some I think monitoring to see what's happening there and whether there needs to be a higher threshold for job creation. But when we talked about it before, one of the things that because we had, as Carolyn said, a sliding scale, and you got a higher percentage if you created more jobs. But we started to think about it in terms of, is it better to help 5 businesses with 2 employees each, or 1 business with 10 employees? And we kind of came to the conclusion that those are pretty much equal. And we ought to, that's why we ended up with just a straight 50% as far as the grant. So we've been thinking about that, but certainly we can monitor it and see if we need to make a threshold there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, as we talk about our small businesses, I mean, there's a lot. Sewer impact fees, all the utility fees are very significant for people trying to get off the ground. And so, again, I know you have few dollars for these, so being very judicious in their usage is important. So thank you for investigating that and keeping an eye on it. Appreciate it.
Okay. The next category is the sewer impact fee waivers. Again, this program has been in place for a long time, decades, but it was just newly incorporated into the Confluence program last year, and this is the first time that I'll be presenting on it. So, sewer impact fees are waived for low-income or affordable housing projects that are eligible. It's in our ordinance. We approved over $900,000 in grants, and that represents 5 different residential projects. And we also, that's the equivalent of 231 equivalent single-family dwelling, so ESDs that were waived. And then we have the public education. So we're just highlighting one of the projects that they provide funding for. There are many wonderful projects. The first one is the Student and Landowner Education and Watershed Stewardship Program. That's a mouthful, so they call it SLUES for short. So the Center for Land-Based Learning was provided a grant over $200,000 through the fiscal year 26-27. And what this funding does is provides high school students with the hands-on, kind of the real-world, habitat restoration you can see in the pictures, those projects. And it also exposes those students to college and career opportunities in both agriculture and also natural resources. Okay, and lastly, we have our other projects. The one that we're highlighting here is actually the only project in this category, is the Sycamore Trail project. So we provided $50,000 in funding to the Rotary Club of West Sacramento, and they used this funding to plant 400 fruit trees and expand the irrigation in a half-mile area along the Sycamore Trail. So what this does is it's bringing that fresh fruit to the community in that local area. And if there is extra fruit, it will be distributed to local food donation centers and will also go out to farmers markets. So very exciting project.
I just want to mention something on that. Just that Sycamore Trail is very closely aligned with our interceptor, and there's been complaints from residents over the years about odors, and it's not always some of our facilities aren't always the best looking, and so we really tried to step up and do something in that same area. So that's part of the reason why that project came to fruition. See, that's good content. Not intended.
Fruition.
Okay. Here I just wanted to highlight some multi-year projects, because even though we talk about this report in just one fiscal year, we're actually doing a lot of work on projects that are multi-year projects. So the first one is MOSAC, the Museum of Science and Curiosity. We are providing them almost $1.5 million. It has been approved to date. The Protect the American River Parkway, the project that I mentioned earlier, we've approved $282,000. The North A Sanitation Program, we've had that provided funding for that for 8 years. And we provide over $860,000. And then, as I mentioned previously, the Franklin Channel Reforestation and Restoration Project, in which we provided over $300,000. And finally, one of the things that I wanted to talk about is that we continue to receive letters of appreciation for this program. In addition to emails and conversations that our project managers have. The most recent letter of appreciation we received was from the American River Parkway, thanking us for the funding for their Protect the Parkway projects. And then through this program, we also strengthen our relationship with other organizations and agencies. For example, the Sacramento Valley Conservancy, our regional water board, local law enforcement agencies for their abandoned vessel and vehicle programs. And that's just to name a few. So to close, I just want to say that we foresee another successful year. We have been receiving quite a few applications already. And then we look forward to coming back next year, but it sounds like maybe in 6 months to provide an update to you on where we stand in terms of the obligated funding. So that concludes my presentation. I want to thank you for allowing me to present this to you today. And do you have any questions for me?
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a question. I think we all managed to interrupt enough to give you plenty of questions already. But I do have a suggestion, and I'm looking at our outreach folks specifically. If you could proactively reach out to the River City Water Alliance. No doubt about it, the Parkway Foundation does wonderful work, and I'm glad that they're taking advantage of the line item allocation that we have here through our Confluence program. River City Water Alliance is an organization, nonprofit that has really emerged, I'd say, over the last 7 to 8 years as a really effective group in terms of their sole mission, which is just cleanup. American River Parkway Foundation does a lot more than just cleanup. They do cleanup, they do that, but River City Water Alliance does some extraordinary work, especially in the lower reaches of the Parkway. And I want to make sure that their leadership understands that there's this resource available, and that if they're interested, they should be, spinning their wheels to figure out how to apply for the grant. So,
And I believe that we've partnered with them in the
Have we?
past. The
Okay.
name is very familiar, but
Okay.
we'll definitely do that.
I just want to echo that I believe I'm fairly confident. Carolyn, can you speak to that, actually, the River City Water Alliance?
Yes.
If you
we
can't, that's
provided-
okay. I don't want to put you on the spot, but I thought you had
Yeah,
been working on that.
we have provided funding even this year for the River City Water Alliance.
Okay.
And it's something that we could take a look at, trying to provide, more opportunities that
Sure.
they may have than just cleanup.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Villegas.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Carolyn, for the presentation. And I'll just, you don't have to respond to it, but I couldn't help but notice, I know we've been committing resources to the Mosaic Science Center by design and purposefully because of so much, thousands of kids go through that science center and are exposed to the constant change of our science and technology. And if you go in there on Saturday, by the following Saturday, you see different displays changing because of the science and how quickly things are changing. I say that simply because I know education is a big component of our Confluence program. And I can't help but think that if there is anything that our youth are exposed to every single day, that is flushing toilets, washing their hands. And so the system that they are exposed to every single day, I think the display should reflect the sort of the technology that's embedded in what happens when they flush a toilet every day. And I couldn't help but when I was there recently, I looked at the display and it didn't really represent what I think I would want to see if I was a 7 or 8 year old trying to figure out how to learn more about what the work that we do here. And I don't think there's anything more important than us educating 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 year olds around the importance of our stewardship role. So I put that in there because I know there's money in the education, but I just think we could probably do better. And so I'll just leave it at that. I don't need a response. If I was a kid looking to try to get excited about science, I'd probably be looking to learn a little bit more. So,
As a former Mosaic board member, I can appreciate your comment and suggestion, Director Villegas. I think it's a good one, and I think at the very least making maybe a bolder connection between not just our mission, but just kind of the fascinating part of how, you get from a residential restroom to our sewer plant, and I know for a fact that many exhibits and displays in the past have focused on different aspects of water quality and riparian habitat preservation and all things kind of water. So I think that's where the intersection was seen very early in terms of the appropriateness of Mosaic being a beneficiary of Confluence resources. But I think your point's very well taken that maybe working with the administration of the museum to see if we can't make those exhibits a little more declarative in terms of what your sewer district is doing and how it relates to the science and technology of what it is that we do on an hourly basis would be, I think, appreciated. Director Guerra.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I just wanted to say, as the father of a 7-year-old, I mean, the concept of a toilet and washing hands. I mean,
We hope washing hands.
Yes. Believe me, that's always a constant. Like, yeah, I didn't hear you washing your hands. Like, and I'm looking at Darren over here because we've all gone through. All of us have gone through. Yeah. But the point is, it grabs their attention, and so elevating, exciting it, I think is important on that piece. But as a matter of necessity for this organization, for this entity, in science, many times what draws a lot of young people is exciting things that are happening, and many times they're in the private sector. But public engineers, and as someone who went to become studied, and my first entrance into the engineering world was for a public agency. We need more public engineers, and it's hard to attract people at a young age to recognize, hey, this is not only a very well-paid, well-compensated career, it's a fun one, but doing that at a young age, and it's hard to tell someone being a civil engineer or electrical engineer what that could be, but you could definitely make it fun with a toilet that ends up saving the river and also making electricity, because that's what we're doing now with the sewer district is creating, biomethane and electricity and everything else we're doing. So I just think there's just so many ways to do that, but I also agree we have to up the ante and the support from this entity in its flexible funds, not so much because yes, we have an obligation for our youth, but because from a workforce component, we want our local kids to say, hey, you know what? There's a major employer there, and I can stick around in Sacramento. I know there's a lot of Sac State alums at the Echo Water Project, and got a chance to meet a lot of them. There's a lot of the UC Davis alums too, but there's a lot of Sac State engineer alums there, And so, anyway, to that point, I think from an economic development perspective, our employment perspective, it's one that I think with Mosaic we have to just, pump that up a little more as well.
Good
Point well
comments.
taken, and our strategic plan addresses this to some degree, and I think that's a good connection back to the public education part of it. Yeah.
Any further comments or questions by board members? All right. Again, thank you for your presentation. Well done.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, do we have anyone signed up to speak on this matter?
We do not have any public comment.
All right. Next item, please.
Mr. Chair, item number 8 is miscellaneous director matters by Mr. Christoph Dalton. Directors?
No, I don't see any.
No? Okay, and number 9 is communication received and filed.
All right, very good. Want to thank everyone for your attendance and participation in today's meeting, and we will see you back
Mr. Chair,
22nd.
20
2
seconds.
weeks.
I do have one board member comment to make here.
Sure.
If that's okay.
Please.
First, I do want to thank the Sac Sewer staff here and also Joe Phil Borges from Government Relations. We had a very long and contentious CARB meeting that affects many municipalities. And I do want to thank Sac Sewer because their engagement, along with some of our local partners at SMUD and Roseville, really helped influence and make a point about how the state is looking at some of its mandates and being respective and responsive to the impacts that it could mean to our ratepayer, our residents, and particularly the issue of rate increases can be extremely regressive in some of these regulations. So I just wanted to make sure that before we adjourn, we recognize the staff at Sac Sewer for their quick and prompt response and helping me in my local role as a rep being able to address those issues. So just thank you to your staff on that one. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry for that.
No, great comments. And again, thank you for your service on CARB, and thank City Council Member Dickinson for passing the legislation that permitted it. So, all right, if there's nothing further, no further business in front of this board, we are adjourned.